There's a filament dryer back here. I can turn that off.
Okay. What do you say, a soda dryer?
Yeah. I guess he was trying to sodas.
Drying out of sodas?
No, I've got 3D printers that I 3D print a lot of stuff, and there's dryers to dry filaments, and the printers are warming up. So.
Oh, okay. We won't be able to hear you until we bring you on, okay? Here we go. See you later. Here he goes. He's drying his sodas out.
He's drying his sodas out.
You ever had dried soda, Mike?
I don't think so.
It's not a thing. Let me switch this here. Do you have anything to open the show? Because if you do,
sorta.
Okay.
Sorta, kinda.
Tommy Lasorda.
Yep.
All right. Here we go.
And now for something special. The unit is self-contained with its own saddler, farrier, wheelwright, and so on. It's a rigorous training dished out who know all there is to know about horses, and it brings results.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, the award-winning #1 podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stine is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF1 accreditation. On this week's show, we have an actual vet farrier. His name is Sammy Pittman, and he's going to go over his business, his practice, and also the unique thing that he does by freeze-drying limbs for educational purposes. So get into that and tell us all how he does that on today's show. And over to my far right side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing okay, Travis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing well. I'm doing better.
Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
I took a road trip.
You did?
I did take a road trip.
A road trip?
Yep. I wanted to make sure that the pathway to Tennessee, between North Carolina and Tennessee, was wide open.
How's that?
You know, we were talking about, you had friends of yours that were, through Hurricane Helene that went up there and kind of devastated, the interstates and all that. And there was on my trip to break it down for you, I went to Nashville, and we were worried about going through the gorge.
Right.
I just want to let you know that I-40 is completely open all the way through the gorge and through all the way into Asheville and on its way up to Asheville to Nashville.
Asheville to Nashville.
Throw an extra letter on there.
That's all you got.
But it is down to one lane in either direction.
Okay.
Just to give you a heads up. And there are some construction stops. Now, we went through on a Wednesday and came back on a Sunday.
Right.
And on the Sunday, of course, there's no construction or everything. But Wednesday, there was a little bit of construction, but there was a little slowdown, like right in the middle of the gorge for about maybe 2 miles. It says 20 miles, but I think it was more like 3 miles. So if you're heading out that way, just be careful. It is open. You can get through it, but it's just a little slow in some areas. But you know what I did see, which was really, really cool? As we were driving, we saw horse trailers, of course. Now, most of them were empty, but we saw this long military-looking horse trailer that was, all decked out in, army green, and it had maybe 10 slots for horses, and it was just trucking along through the valley there. And I go, wow. I said, that horse trail looks really, really short. And my wife goes, yeah, it does look kind of short. Maybe it's for cattle or something like that. When we pulled up to the side of it, it was, what's the company? The Mule Packers or something like that? Is that the name of the company?
There are some Mule Packers, yes. I don't know.
So, and we looked, and sure enough, there was about 8 of them in there. There were 8 Mule Packers, and my wife goes, oh, that's really neat. That's really interesting. I'm like, yeah, because they're bringing them up there because a lot of the side streets, the secondary streets, are still flooded. They're still knocked out. So they were bringing up mules to pack mules to get supplies.
Yeah, they were packing in supplies places you couldn't get vehicles in.
So they're just letting you know, it's still going on. It's an ongoing thing.
So there's still plenty of people up there that could use a lot of help.
So even though I-40's open, at least now, if you're willing to help or you were wanting to help or worried about getting through that pass there, I-40 is open. But the secondary streets, and we did see a lot of damage, a lot of towns that were flooded out. The waters have lowered, and everything has that the Carolina clay all over everything. So it was just amazing.
I was going to say, if the California clay, that was a really big storm.
Washed it all the way up here. And we were there in Nashville just in time for that tornado belt that came through, and 2 tornadoes not cut through Nashville, but did form in the Nashville and the surrounding areas while we were there. One formed on Wednesday and one formed on Saturday. And it's really unique. I'm from Florida, and I've been through hurricanes after hurricanes after hurricanes, but there was nothing like just watching. I say nothing like. I was in awe, but I mean it's a freak of nature how these storms come up out of nowhere, and then boom, you got a tornado, and then boom, it's gone, and you're just kind of standing around going, okay, what happened? So it was very interesting. We had a very interesting trip. What have you been doing since I've been away, Mike?
I've been, believe it or not, working on horses. Still got horses that are down from the north, and some of them will be headed to the Land Rover, and did normal work and all that kind of stuff, and dealing with horse business, right?
Yeah, that's what you do. Anything exciting with that, or?
Well, yeah, I did. I had some communication issues because of,
Because they don't understand your accent or something?
Well, no, they don't. The Northerners don't understand my accent. No, I just had a little situation where there was information from this person to this person to this person.
So you're playing the game.
It was given to me. It was through about the 5th person that wasn't even there, and I was like, the interpretation got way off base. And
it started out with, I need Mike.
I was like, let's back up a minute, and I've made some phone calls, and it's like, well, boy, that one got twisted around. But no, I had another communication situation talking about that where I was in a barn and they were working, and somebody said, well, the mice are getting in the treats. And the girl said, I hope they're not the German ones. And I was like, you've got German mice, And
how can you tell the German mice from the?
I don't know.
They have a little mustache right on the end.
Mustache, different accent, I guess. But they had German mice problems. And apparently I found out there's such things as German horse treats.
I don't know what that is.
I didn't either. I thought they had German mice.
Oh well. So everything's all clear.
Everything's okay. Everything's cleared up. We're good to go.
Well, good. Well, guys, we got a big show to get into, lots to talk about, and we're going to talk to a very interesting man by the name of Sammy Pittman. He's going to talk about, I want to know about his freeze-dried legs. I think that's a very interesting thing, and he's going to tell us all about his company that makes those for educational purposes. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, you can join the podcast. The way you do that is go to equinedynamics.com. At the very top of the page says join the podcast. And you click on that, and it opens up an orange tab on your screen there. And it says, leave a message, start recording. You hit record, you listen back to it, and then you hit send. You can be anonymous if you want. Or just put your email address in there so we make sure that you're not a robot or anything like that. And your voice can be played right here on the podcast during this show. We broadcast every Monday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So get yours in now. This is the middle of season 12, so you got plenty of time to ask Mike a question. Just go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says join the podcast. And over to my far hand side, my very own eco-friendly man is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you? And welcome, Sammy.
Thanks for having me.
And joining us this week, an actual vet farrier, Sammy Pittman, is joining us this week. Thanks for joining us. Now, you're a vet and a farrier at the same time. What, circus juggler was not, you couldn't work that in there as well? I mean, you figured you get enough work and enough work. Your time is mostly well spent doing vet, and then you turn around and you add farrier on top of that, and, so why combine the two, and how did you get started? So let's start.
That's 2 80-hour-a-week businesses.
I know, exactly.
At the same time.
So how did you get started? First of all, getting into being a veterinarian, and then how did that transition into being a farrier now?
So at a pretty young age, I decided I want to go to be a veterinarian. It seemed like growing up in a ranching farming community, the veterinarian was like the coolest person I ever got to see. He was cutting things apart and preg checking cows and working on stuff, and that was what I wanted to do. But just as a natural evolution of being raised in that area and that agricultural type area, is that where you end up shoeing your own horses, or you learn how to, or somebody knows how to. So I would around 15 got my first experience at getting under a horse and shoeing horses, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. but I never really saw it as a career in all reality. So I went on to veterinary school, graduated from Oklahoma State in 2003. And in 2004, I was in a mixed animal practice at that point. And because I had some farrier tools, that, I would end up still shoeing some of my lameness cases. And because I enjoyed it. But in 2004, I was working on some foundered horses, and they flew in this expert named Rick Redden, which is kind of the pioneer of the equine podiatry world. They flew him in to assist us and help us. And then I got exposed to his theories and his process of doing venograms and how he x-rayed feed. And it was just a lot of answers to questions that I'd had going through veterinary school, which was you get a minimal amount of that in veterinary school, which is, they can't really cover everything in large detail, but so it's not necessarily against the veterinary school, but so that it really sparked my interest in furthering that education, because it was just a lot of answers that I've been looking for. So I started going to as many classes as I could for him, and got to be good friends with him, and then end up helping him teach some of those classes that he puts on there at his facility. That's how I met Mike through Dr. Redden and those classes. So I stayed in a mixed animal practice for about 5 years, and when it got down to it, all I really enjoyed doing was the podiatry work. And ended up in actually in 2008, I moved to Alaska for a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of a burnout fix, I think, in all reality. And I met some people through Dr. Redden as well that had a practice up there. And so I was had a girlfriend at the time and asked her to marry me and moved to Alaska. So we moved to Alaska for a couple of years.
That's got to be love, to sit there and go, oh, yeah, I'll leave Oklahoma and go all the way to Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved back in 2010, and that's when we jumped off and decided to start this podiatry exclusive practice after Dr. Redden nudging and me fighting the fact that, I went to veterinary school and spent $250,000. I shouldn't be shoeing horses, but he assured me that I'd have a good business and had more work than I could ever imagine. And then it's been true. It's developed into a great business, and it's taken me all over the world. So.
What's your workload? Is it like 50-50 vet and podiatry or farrier, or is it 80-20? How does that work between the two, or is it just all incumbents all in one?
Yeah, it's all in one. I would say that it's really hard to separate one from the other. The types of cases that I work on are all pathological. They got problems, so we're x-raying them, blocking them, doing diagnostics, all the way through the biomechanical plan blueprint, and then we fabricate, build, and apply whatever we need. So it's hard for me in my position to separate it out in all reality. I do zero normal veterinary work. It's all related to foot problems that is going to be, again, combining the veterinary component all the way to the fabrication and shoeing component to managing metabolic problems. Pretty fortunate in my area here in North Texas, where there are you can't drive down the highway out here without running over 3 or 4 vets and 10 farriers. So we got lots of support team around this area. So by the time they get to me, they've got they've got a chiropractor, they've got a dentist, they've got 2 or 3 surgeons, they've got plenty of people involved, and I'm just one member of that team to help keep that horse on the road.
So one of the things that, Mike deals with vets all the time, and, you're a special breed of person, a farrier, because I would always think that, okay, I've got a vet that Mike deals with, and he'll call out a vet, and that vet specializes in just small animals. Is that correct? Right. So I would think.
Well, no, not necessarily. My vets are large animal vets.
Okay, anyway. So large animals, but you would think, I guess where I'm going is, you've got a large animal vet, but doesn't put on shoes. It's not a farrier, but yet it knows all the ins and outs of everything like that. But you're a large animal vet, I guess, for the most part. Is that true? And then, but you can also put on shoes, which I think is like a 1-2 punch. It's like being a point guard and a coach of the team that you're playing for.
Yeah, I think for the types of cases that I work on, and it dang sure helps elevate the success, because I only have to argue with myself. And so, that's the thing that is a constant topic and a constant problem in the horse industry, is that we have veterinarians that are trained in anatomy and physiology and pharmacokinetics and how things operate, but and have anatomy. But the farrier, on the other hand, has the application and the understanding of maybe better understanding of biomechanics and what tools can be used and what shoes can be used and how they can be applied. And those two have to come together to formulate a singular plan that's going to work for that horse. And that's where the veterinarians don't have a lot of times the right understanding of what can and can't be done. And on the other hand, the farriers are focused a lot of times on just managing the hoof capsule and may not understand the internal dynamics of what has to happen mechanically to help resolve the lameness issue. So that's where those two team members have to come together and learn together and be educated together and have similar thought processes to have, success for sure in some of these more difficult lameness cases.
Well, we're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, I want to dive into it. I'm so ecstatic about it. I want to know about the other business that you have, about the freeze-dried leg. I just think that's so fascinating, so interesting. And when we return, we're going to talk to Sammy Pittman a little bit more about his business as far as freeze-drying limbs for educational purposes. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, for every podcast we do, we have a matching video. The full-length video will be available on YouTube, so search Equine Dynamics on YouTube, and make sure you give Mike Stine a little like, subscribe over there. Your listeners are creeping up and up and up, almost 3,000 subscribers. Right. Subscribers only to the channel right there, but every video out there gets well over thousands and thousands and thousands of views. So if you're out there and you're one of those thousands and thousands and thousands of viewers out there, give Mike a little subscribe over there, and we broadcast every Monday, and you'll get a new video over there. Also, one of the advantages of going to YouTube and subscribing over there is anytime Mike Stine has a clinic or any kind of a live event, he also videotapes a lot of his case works that he does. He posts those up there on the YouTube channel as well. So that's a good subscribe over there, good watch, good read, good educational experience. And my very own educational person to my far hand side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing okay, Travis. How are you? And thank you for being with us, Sammy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And joining us this week is Sammy Pittman, vet farrier, and also you are, from my understanding, a recently owner of a company that does freeze-dried limbs. Is this correct, or am I way off base on that?
This type of thing, yes.
That is correct. Myself and two of my close friends, a farrier named Caleb Bergeline, and then another veterinary farrier named Jared Pullen, went in together and bought this as a, I don't know that we bought it as a real profitable adventure, but it was it's a company that a lady named Allie Hayes started probably 30, 40 years ago. She was a farrier and wanted to learn more about anatomy and started dissecting legs and then developed this process to make anatomical models through a freeze drying process. And she was looking to retire, and all of us partners had been buying and drooling over those models our whole careers, and she didn't know what to do with it. Just in kind of talking with her at conventions and things, she's like, well, I'm thinking about selling it, but I don't know what to do with it. And so not one of us could probably manage it all by ourselves, but we figured with a trio, maybe we could just get together a few weekends a month and do the work necessary. And then we go to all the major trade shows. We have a website that I need to keep up with better. But anyway, yeah. So then we opted about 3 years ago to purchase the business from her and keep it going. And mainly just, I think for all of us and many people in the industry have thanked us for it, is like, just keep it around. It's just, we hated to see it go away.
Right. It's this, I've got a collection that I've picked up from Allie's and I've also added to it from you guys. And it's always really nice to have some of this stuff.
So here's, go ahead, Sammy.
Yeah, I have one that I bought like 25 years ago, my very first one. And when I was a fledgling veterinarian and still half broke, it was like I bought one of the cheapest models that she had, and I've still got it. So it was
right. This is actually my original one from Allie.
So if you're watching this video, Mike, hold that in front of the camera right now. So that's a freezer, right? Not in front of your face, Mike. In front of the camera. And you can see this. This is an actual freeze-dried leg from a horse. It's the hoof part. Yep. And it's just it's a cross section, so you can see the hip bone connected to the arm bone connected to the, what are those joints? The pasture joint? I forget the words of them.
Yeah. You got the pastern. You got
Mike's on the spot here.
Anyway.
So you can see all the different joints.
You can see all the bones.
All right.
Coffin bone, navicular bone, short pastern, long pastern, and on up the leg, and then all your tendons and ligaments.
So here's something. It's so weird how the world works, because I literally just watched a video on how the freeze-dried process works. Now, it was done with something else. It was done with, I think they were trying to sell you on if your animal passes away and to have your animal, forever in your home. So this is what, and correct me if I'm wrong, I might misspoke on a couple things, but Samuel will correct me because this is his business. When you freeze dry something, you basically bring it down to a very, very like below zero, like 32 degrees below zero. You're freezing this thing, freezing every molecule in whatever it is. And we'll just say, let's say, for example, a horse's leg. And once it's frozen, then you put it in something that dehumidifies it and extracts all the moisture out of that thing. And the reason why you're extracting the moisture, and to bring up to what Sammy says, he's got a leg from 25 years ago. You would think this actual leg, why doesn't it rot? Why doesn't it, get mold and get, break down the tissue and everything? Because the freeze drying process pulls every single ounce of humidity, every single ounce of moisture out of that product, whatever that item is, to where it doesn't form bacteria and the tissues don't break down. Now, am I way off base? Was the video that I was watching off base, or is that basically what happens?
No, that's the basic process.
Yes.
The freeze dryers we have are a large commercial processor. We can stick about 90 to 100 specimens inside there. There's two chambers. There's the actual freezer chamber, specimen chamber. Then there's a separate, like a vacuum chamber. And it's actually, I think the main chamber, I'd have to look at the numbers for sure, but like the main chamber will be or somewhere around 0 degrees. And then the vacuum chamber that pulls the moisture into it will be 65 or 70 below zero, and that's where all the moisture accumulates. So it's basically freezing under a vacuum. It still takes us anywhere from 3 to 6 months of a specimen to be in that.
Oh, really? Wow.
It's prepared. So it takes some time. Some larger, basically the bigger it is, draft legs, whatever, it's going to take 6, 7, 8, 9 months, and then your small foal legs and things like that are going to be done in 2 to 3 months. But we usually, we have 2 of them, only one's in operation down in Bernie, Texas, where Caleb, my other partner, lives. And then we have another freeze dryer that's up where Jarrett resides there in Vermont. But we only really have one up and going right now. So most of all the work's done here in Texas.
Now, I have a 2-part question. One, the main thing that this company does, and I'm sorry, what was the name of the company again? I'm sorry if I missed it.
Horse Science is the original company name. The website's horsescience.com. But when we purchased it, she wanted us to change it a little bit, so we changed it to Horse Science Anatomy Works. Okay,
so the first question is, what are you seeing the most of as far as what do you freeze dry the most? Is it legs? Is it just horses' legs? And I guess it's maybe the same part of the question. Is it, and you're doing it strictly for educational purposes, or it can like anyone come out and have Fluffy put in your thing in there and have Fluffy freeze dried, and then they can have it like the video I saw with saving your pet's animals? Or is it just strictly for educational purposes? We're just doing this for like high school labs and farriers and people that want to have this for educational props in their workload.
Yeah, right now we've stuck mostly with equine and bovine instructional educational models, essentially, of several different types that we produce. I think we're always looking for ways to expand. We've explored the pet preservation thing. There's also in taxidermy, when you shoot a deer or any kind of antlered species that has velvet on it. That's a really good way to preserve the velvet on those antlers is a freeze drying. So we've done a little bit of that, just playing with it. But right now, in an effort to just keep up with our inventory, with one freeze dryer going, we haven't really been able to expand that much. So, but we get both freeze dryers going. We're going to be open to any way to let those things make $1.
So, and that's where I was going next. Is speaking of making $1, how many actual freeze dried companies that do what you do are in the area? Are they like there's only 20 across the United States, or are there like thousands across the United States?
There, as far as I know, we are the only company in the universe.
Oh, in the universe. Oh, wow, Mike, that's a bold statement.
It is a bold statement.
So, like Beers Diamonds or De Beers Diamonds, are you worried about flooding the market with, you say you can get 900, legs and parts in one unit. Are you worried about flooding the market?
It's 90 to 100, not 900. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. So the thing about it is there's always new veterinarians, there's always new farriers, there's always horse owners. There's seems like the demand hasn't slowed down a whole lot. And every time we go to a trade show, there's these young veterinarians, young farriers that don't even know we exist. And, in a business that's been in business since, the 90s or even earlier, there's still kids that are coming out of school that don't know that we exist. So I think, we don't really have a problem selling them for the most part. Especially, I think that's a big thing is that, when we purchased the company, it was one of the confident things was like, well, it's the only known company in our industry that makes these. So, if you're buying the only business in the world, then you're probably going to at least still be able to sell them because there's just not a lot of people that are out doing that. So,
all right, guys.
Hopefully I don't do ideas.
All right, guys. Yeah. All right, guys. We're going to take a quick little break. When we come back, we'll dive a little bit more into the freeze-dried process with Sammy Pittman. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
Make you a deal. You can have one on your desk.
We got. I don't know if you can see behind Mike. We've got Peggy back there. See but that's all glued together. That leg,
just a bone column glued together.
Yeah, we make those too.
Yep.
Just boil them down and put them back together. That's a lot of work. It's actually probably more work than the freeze-dried deal.
Do you boil them down, or do you use those beetles like they have in like they show in like the museums where they eat all the cells?
We're still boiling them down. The beetle thing is what we'd like to get into. It's just that when you get a beetle colony, you have to continually feed them. So it's like if you run out of legs or whatever, then your colony dies. You got to start over. So we've tried finding some other people that need beetles fed. It's not something I think we could probably keep going ourselves.
You can't buy like a bag of dog food and just throw it in there to keep them occupied until.
Probably could. Some beetle food.
Yeah, beetle food. Christ, any animal you can have at the house, they'll put it on the front of a bag and sell it to you. I think I saw sugar glider. You know what sugar glider is, Mike?
Not a clue.
I think I saw sugar glider food. It's a small, like a little rodent that kind of, I don't know.
It's like those German mice.
Yes, German mice it's like a squirrel of some sort. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Make sure you follow him over on Facebook. And the way you do that is search Equine Dynamics Mike Stine. He's got 2 pages up there. He had a personal page, which they only allow you about 5,000 subscribers to that. And he's maxed that out. And he's continued on with the actual Equine Dynamics podcast page. And I haven't checked the numbers over there, but I'm a friend of both pages. And you can see.
It's got a few 100,000.
A few 100,000?
I don't know.
Somewhere close to it, right? And over there on my far hand side, my very own few 100,000 is Mike Stine.
How are you, Travis?
Doing all right. And joining us this week is Sammy Pittman.
Hello, thanks for having me.
And over on Mike Stine's Facebook page, I was looking at the other day while we were driving up to Nashville, and I wasn't driving. My wife was driving for this little segment there. And on your Facebook page, I've seen all the different articles that you're posting on there. It's a great read. It's a great follow over on Facebook. And I saw something about the dressage. Some kind of dressage society that you bought lunch for all the judges or something?
South Carolina SCDTA.
Yeah, what's that about? What happened there? Were you aware that you bought?
Did I buy lunch for him? No, actually, I was aware of that. And
I just saw the Equine Dynamics podcast logo over there.
you remember Trish?
And I looked at the bank account and I go, I don't remember buying lunch for them.
You bought it. You don't know.
Yeah, I remember Trish Stingle, yes.
Yeah, Trish. Trish is, I think, now acting vice president of the South Carolina SEDTA.
Uh-huh.
And they're having their dressage show coming up in Camden. And they asked me to do a little something, so I did.
Oh, well, good. Good for you. What'd you buy?
I don't know.
Vienna sausages in a can?
Sardines.
No, they got what they got.
They'll get some mustard, some with hot sauce, you know.
Well, speaking of specimens and lunch and everything like that, we're talking to vet farrier Sammy Pittman, who has a podiatry practice. He's a veterinarian as well and a farrier because, you know, what'd you say, Mike? That's 2 80-hour-a-week jobs right there in one.
Pretty much, yeah.
Obviously, Sammy's got a whole bunch going on, a lot of free time.
He's working
how can you have
60 hours a week.
Hey, Sammy, how can you have free time? You kind of slipped in there that you got married up in Alaska. You know, how's the missus? How's the wife feel about this career path that you've chosen with a 2 80-hour-a-week job plus running a freeze-dried company?
And the other things he does.
Yeah.
And she's an intricate part of the business. She's right there with me. We live here right at the clinic, so she's been a part of it. Sometimes I think I probably overwhelm her with my expanding entrepreneurial ideas. But yeah, no, she's a hard worker just like myself, and in it the whole way. So I've been pretty blessed to have a great.
Well, that's good.
Companion.
Yeah. Keep her around. My wife's the same way. She's like, honey, I know you don't know anything about horses, but you know what? You mend the fence, you clean the stalls, you feed the horses. I think I'll keep you, is what she says.
Well, you're worth keeping around for something, I guess. You know.
So we were diving into the whole story behind how Sammy got into the freeze-dried business itself. Here's the question that I have for you, and I'm trying to word this the best way I can. Is, you know, where do you get these specimens and how is the process happen, or how does that happen? And I'll dive into it a little bit more, saying that is it a program that you can get, like sign up for like a donor, like if you're, you know, an organ donor, you know, on your driver's license. How do you get the specimens, and is there a program set up for people that want to donate their horse past, you know, their end of life situation?
Yeah, so it comes from several areas. Some of them are horses that we've worked on, and the owners are okay with us taking their legs. We have a few people that dispose of horses that the owners are open to us allowing to have their eggs. Some people donate them to us. There's all sorts of avenues. Some of them are our own horses, so it's just a kind of a multi-prong approach. Used to, I think, when there were more horse slaughter plants, then you could go there, and I think that's where Allie would get a lot of her specimens would be from that avenue. But we don't have those anymore, so a lot of it's just personal connections and networks, and knowing veterinary. There's some large veterinary clinics around here that their horses colic, pass away, or have to be euthanized for humane reasons that they're willing to pass them on to us to be able to use to further educate the industry, and so it's multiple avenues, I guess you would say.
So if I have, let's say I got Daisy out there on the front pasture, and she's just a normal horse, she's just old, she's just an old horse, and all of her feet and everything are fine, and I donate the horse, and you look at the horse, is it before or after she passes away, you look at the horse and you're like going, you know what, I've it's like at a pawn shop, I've got 15,000 of these legs already, I don't need another set. And is there situations where you see certain cases like, hey, Daisy might have this, what's a bad disease that you would want to see the inside of a hoof, Mike?
Well, he deals with a lot of laminitic horses.
Well, okay,
so that would definitely be one.
So do you look at those case study type horses and go, oh yeah, I really like to have that because that would work. I don't have that yet, type deal. I know I'm putting a weird focus on, the value of a horse's leg, but I mean, is that something that you look for?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got horses that I have taken care of for many, many years, and I have, with the right situations, approached those owners and been like, hey, I really like to have these legs. Whenever his working time is gone, I'm just going to approach that right now. So it's not, but I don't have to at a difficult time. But there are definitely cases that I've got years and years worth of input and data and working on that I'd love to see what the inside looks like and be able to preserve it. And owners are oftentimes open with that. And some, you don't even ask the question because they couldn't fathom that thought, and that's fine. But I think having this pathological practice, we get a lot of neat stuff to be able to dissect and then also preserve. But a good part of what the new farriers and new veterinarians and even horse owners need is just normal anatomy. So just know what normal looks like. That way they can recognize the pathology. So we have a large number of what we have is just normal. And then we keep, because, we all have the three partners, we all have, a full-time farrier practice, full-time vet, and 2 full-time vet farrier practices. We get access to things that are interesting to preserve and use as a teaching model.
And that's something like, even if horse owners wanted to buy them, they can buy from you also.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no restrictions, and we've got a lot of horse owners we sell to, just because they're interested. And we do a lot of custom work too. So say, a farrier or horse owner, veterinarian, they have, a horse that they've been working on, same thing. They've been working on, and they really want to preserve that to learn from it. Then, they'll harvest the specimen and then overnight ship it to us after it's been frozen. And then we preserve it and ship it back to them. So
Without getting too graphic, if Daisy falls and she's done, end of life, do they send the whole horse to you, or how does that process work, getting the actual specimen of what you want, and is there like from the hoof and 20 inches up, up the leg or something like that? How does that process work, where you pick out exactly where to amputate the animal's leg?
No, typically, if it's a custom deal, they may have in mind a section of the anatomy that they'd like preserved. So it kind of depends on that, where the limb's harvested. But typically from the knee or hock, about 5 to 6 inches above the knee or hock, and then the leg is removed there. And then we've got some packaging, shipping instructions that we'll send to the people. They'll go ahead and put it in a regular freezer and get it freeze dry or frozen, and then it's overnight shipped to us. And then from there we will, depending on how clean the leg is and dirty leg is, usually we have to take and power wash and clean those and disinfect them, and then we will let them thaw enough to pose them, because a lot of times the legs come to us all the joints flexed, and it's just not a real normal manner. So we have to thaw them out enough to where we can pose them and affix them, and then refreeze them in a regular freezer that they're posed. And then once they are frozen, then that's when we decide, how are we going to slice this relative to the anatomy that we want to show. So, a lot of times it's a slice down the middle, or we have some ultrasound, what we call ultra limb type models, where the limb is cut into a whole bunch of more horizontal slices, if you will. So it kind of depends on the model specifically at that point. And they go into the freeze dryer to reduce the amount of time in the freeze dryer, basically already cut up.
So I'm thinking, my mind is just going a mile a minute to thinking of all these different questions, because I always refer, to losing an animal or something like that. Mike, were you going to say something or no?
No.
So let's say I got Daisy out there, and Daisy's been in the family forever. And is it part, let's see, how can I say it? Like, if I want to remember Daisy, if you ever have a animal pass away and they do the paw print in the plaster of Paris, and then, you get, Fluffy's name with the little paw print and stuff. Is there like a mounting that you can do with Daisy's? Is that an option for you guys? I'm sure you can do anything, whatever. Sure, price tag's just fine. I can do whatever you want with the horse's foot. But as far as like preserving the animal as a in memoriam type deal, is that a process as well?
I mean, I think anything along the lines of, especially the models that we make, we're open to doing whatever. If it's more of and we do have owners that have done that, or trainers and farriers that they want to remember that particular horse. So, they'll have a model made out of it. As far as anything specific with regards to nameplates or putting names on it, we're open to explore whatever.
Yeah.
we're all capitalists, so it's a matter of trying to provide what a customer wants. We just started having some brass nameplates made, at least with our own name on it, to be able to attach to the models. That way people can find us. That's one thing that you get the model, and if you know the company, you know where it came from. But in all reality, if there's a freeze dried model in our industry, it's came from this company. So
yeah,
we want.
Like this model that Mike has here in the studio that I'm holding up here. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, I'm looking at this, and that's why I asked Mike. I said, Mike, is this one of Sammy's legs? And you're like going, well, this is pre-Sammy. This is
but it's from the same company.
Same company. And I'm looking at it, and there's no like little brass plate or anything on it. Yeah, that's smart. That's a smart idea, putting a little brass plate on there, maybe down by the hoof or something to say where your actual hoof came from, kind of branding in itself.
You can do a brass plate on the hoof and also crack repair at the same time. There's an idea for you.
Yeah, there you go. So during the last break, we got into the discussion. Behind Mike's sign has a little thing, and I'll pan the camera here for everyone watching on YouTube. Back in the left-hand corner, you can see that we have Peggy back there, and Peggy's just a bone column system that's been glued down. I got it. Good job, Mike. Thank you. Okay. It's been stripped down, it's been glued, and it's all been glued together. Now, your company as well does the bone joints and gluing those together. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, we have a wide array of. We mostly focus on the upper limb. We've got a lot of requests for skulls, necks, stifles, vertebrae. We're unfortunately limited by time because we all have 3 full-time businesses that we operate, but this is kind of our weekend fun to get together with the boys and play with legs. But we pull down legs and then and clean those and bleach them and then reassemble them. We've got some that we do magnetic so that you can pull them apart and look at each little bone.
Oh, that's neat.
And then put them back together, and we usually have a wide array of those as well. Hocks and carpus and lower limbs are probably our most common thing right now.
Now, I'm going to bring this up again because I know some of our listeners that aren't watching this on the YouTube channel. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, shame on you. But I said this during the break, and you catch that over on YouTube. So I'll bring it up to the people listening on their podcasts and stuff. Why, you say you boil the legs down. Why don't you use those beetles and stuff that they have in like museums when they find like mummies and things like that?
I think that's probably the most efficient way. It's just a matter of probably because of how our timing operates. We're trying to keep a colony of beetles fed 24/7 is a lot of work. But we've tried to make some relationships with people that have those and just haven't ever really went through with that. That would be by far the easiest way to do it. But it's easy for us while we're working on legs together on a weekend to just have a boiling pot going and we have those just kind of sitting there simmering in a little horse leg stew and then it's a lot more work for us because then after it's done you got to scrape and clean and dry and bleach and all that. So
one thing that just popped in my head when you said boiling, and you were talking about the felt hide and stuff. Have you had anyone approach you as far as when you're cutting the legs or any kind of hide that you have left over, like gelatin, turning it into gelatin? Do you have anyone approaching you as a byproduct of your the process of doing these legs?
Not really. I've taken personally I make a few knives here and there, but I've taken some of the leftover pieces of cannon bone and things that we don't utilize and made knife handles out of them. And I've always thought that would be another way to get some cash flow out of the byproducts that we have. But that's about it.
Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, guys, one more little segment. And we'll let you get back to playing with your pony. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, you can join the podcast at any time. Go to equinedynamics.com. At the very top of the page says join the podcast. Click on that little button. You can see all the past podcasts, all the past episodes that we've been doing. Now's the chance to get caught up on it because we broadcast every Monday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So once you get done with this one, go back and listen to all the different shows. We've been doing this for the last 4.5 years now. So you got 4.5 years of shows. Make sure you follow us on your Facebook page. Search Equine Dynamics on Facebook. You can also see us on YouTube as well. And what was the last thing I was going to say? If you like this if you'd like this podcast to perform at your clinic, your location, if you've got a house party, a hurricane,
We don't care what it is.
hurricane party,
We'll do
tornado
it.
party, whatever you got going on, we'll come out to your location and do this exact same podcast right on your very own front doorstep. We can piss the neighbors off if you want as well. And over to my far inside, pissing off my neighbors is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you? And thank you, Sammy.
Thanks for having me.
And joining us this week on the show is veterinary farrier Sammy Pittman. Now, Mike, what did we learn today?
What did we learn today?
We learned that Sammy Pittman has his own podiatry and his own company and stuff, and doing 2 80-hour work week jobs, being a farrier and a podiatrist,
And multiple other businesses.
As a podiatry and a vet. So, what do you want to tell our people as far as our people?
Our people.
That the difference between a farrier and a vet farrier and the advantage of having you in their barn.
I would say that when it comes down to life and career, potentially life and career ending type pathologies, then I think horse owners should get into somebody, get in touch with somebody that specializes in those types of problems. And just like if you're going to have knee surgery, you want the guy that does 5 or 10 a day, not 5 or 10 every decade. So you want somebody that has a lot of experience, has made the mistakes and corrected them, and understands the quickest possible way to get that horse back to performing. So, in our practice, it's just important because the horse is so reliant upon biomechanics for the health of the foot, blood supply. Movement is a large of it is mechanical. So it's hard for a veterinarian to be successful in managing pathology without managing the mechanics.
Mike?
And that's what the farrier comes in.
Mike?
Yes, and from my end, I mean, Sammy and myself go back a ways with Doc Redden. On the other end, not having a farrier that's in the game with, or not having a vet that's in the game with you, and that goes both ways. It's pretty tough to get through some of these things.
It can be. So that's where the team approach is important, and realize that even if you've got a great veterinarian and you've got a great farrier, and they're both good people and smart people, they may not have the experiences necessary to really maximize the potential of the outcome of the problem. So where, as you're looking at your team and you've got a horse foot problem, a laminitis, navicular, all those types of problems that are going to plague a horse, that even though you've got great vets and farriers, they may not have all the skill sets. There's everybody, all of us kind of have our niche, and if you're having trouble with that, then there are a few vet farriers out there, or at least even veterinarians that have focused on podiatry, and farriers that have focused on upper level podiatry and have a greater tool, a different tool set, and a wider range of tools available in their toolbox.
And with my business, I've gone a lot more with performance horses at this point because of the lack of working with vets, but having a heavy podiatry background sure does give you an advantage with performance horses also.
As well, for sure.
And also, Sammy's little side hustle that he just picked up, freeze drying and horses' legs and hooves and stuff for educational purposes, and the whole process. Where are you located at, by the way, as we dive into that?
So my podiatry practice is in Collinsville, Texas, which is about an hour north of Dallas. The actual, which I handle a lot of the retail website sales and inventory management here at our place, but the actual production occurs in Boerne, Texas, which is going to be down by San Antonio, which is about 5 or 6 hours from me.
Oh, wow.
So my partner, Caleb, he's kind of the workhorse of that aspect of the business. He keeps the freeze dryers going and maintains all that stuff there. That's where we ship the customs to, and any legs that are donated to us have to go to him. So, and then Jarrett, he's kind of our vagabond. He's all over the place. So he helps us on the bookwork side and trade shows, and then, like I said, we all get together in Boerne a few times a year and basically just hammer down for 2 or 3 days processing legs.
And if you go back to one of our earlier seasons, we had Jared on with us at a point.
Did we really?
Yes, we did. If you don't remember,
we've had so many people on here. I'm going to have to start making a wall chart as far as all the different people that we've had on the show. And also, if if a customer or a person has a horse and they want to donate their limbs or everything to your company, and you can give your company's name out as well, how do they do that, and what other services do you offer?
So, I mean, outside of limb model, educational model production, and then we also will find models that are helpful in the industry and resell those. But as far as if they wanted to donate to them, then going to our website, the email's on there. It's probably the easiest way to contact us. We don't have necessarily a singular business phone number because it's all either goes through me or Caleb for the most part on that. But usually the website email is probably the easiest way to connect with us.
What was the website?
It's horsescience.com.
And
all one word, science.com.
And if our listeners need to get a hold of you, what other ways are you able to, is there a phone number or an email address outside of the website, or do you have a Facebook page? And I want to see, you had that hinge thing that you were showing us here during the break. Show us that as well.
So this is probably one of our more popular models. It's called our hybrid. So on one side, you have a normal horse's leg with normal anatomy. If you look at the other side, it's still white, but it's a different hoof capsule. And then we've got where we can see when you open it up, you've got the rotation from a laminitic founder episode on this side, and on this side is a more normal anatomy. So it's very helpful for veterinarians.
That's a nice package
to help explain to a horse owner what's going on inside when that lamellar interface fails and the bony column descends down inside the hoof capsule, so you can show what's happening where that bone is pushing against that silver cordum at the bottom and creating all that pain. So one of our most popular models, it's hinged. You can see this one's got the brass nameplate on there.
Oh, that's very nice. Yep.
With our website. So that's one of our more popular ones. As far as getting in contact with us, again, either the email, which is horsescienceanatomyworks@gmail.com. And then for my podiatry practice, Horse Science has a Facebook page, Instagram page. My other business is Innovative Equine Podiatry. We've got a really good following on Facebook. We've got a website, which is iepvs.com. We've got, the business phone number for podiatry related stuff for either scheduling an appointment, or we do a lot of consultations as well, where people would send us x-rays, photos, videos. We do foot mold consultations as well. So the veterinarian or farrier on that end will take a rubber mold basically of the horse's foot. They ship it to us. I just actually did one. I don't see it sitting here, but and then we pour a positive, almost like plaster type mold, and then I would trim that foot and build a shoe for it, and then send that back to the vet farrier team there to be applied. That iepvs.com. The clinic phone number is 903-718-0056, I think. But again, our email is iepvs11@gmail.com. Definitely can find us on Facebook, and I think I've got a young lady that works for me right now, and she's big on TikTok, so I think she started us on TikTok.
We're TikToking.
We make fun of you as far as working 2 80-hour jobs, in two different realms and services. No, but you are really, really a busy gentleman. And one thing I do want to ask, that hinge thing, how much does that go for? Just ballpark, you don't have to give me a quote online here, just a ballpark, just so our listeners and people understand how much value are in these things, and if they were interested in getting one.
Yeah, this model currently sells for in 2025 at $425.
Oh, that's reasonable. That's reasonable to show. That's better than carrying around x-rays and things like that and showing, hey, this is what's going on with your horse. That'd be a very valuable thing to have in your work trunk, in your toolbox per se, to show horse owners. I'm sure Mike has drawn several times, for customers and stuff, and his penmanship's the worst. So for just under $500, you can get one of those and show your clients and stuff. So,
right.
All right. On behalf of Mike Stine over there,
have a good day. Thank you, Sammy, and get out and enjoy your ponies.
And I'd like to thank Sammy Pittman, the vet farrier, for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me.
My name is Travis, saying see you next week. Okay, we're clear.
Close your eyes and
Good job, Sammy. Good job. I had fun with that.
Cool.
Mike, did you have fun with that?
I always have fun with
I had
that.
fun with that. what's
Lucky.
gonna happen now. So,
Good night, Ned. Night, Dusty.
Good night,
I'm
Ned.
going to edit
Good night,
the
Ned.
audio